Something tells me Jada Pinkett Smith is still extra salty regarding Chris Rock's response to his Netflix comedy special, because I ain't believing a lick of this. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. I'm still recouping. Thanks for all your well wishes. Steph's computer went down, so I had to MacGyver this setup here. Hopefully things sound okay. Apologies, the quality is not up to snuff, but bear with us and please keep supporting the videos if you can. But as promised, another follow-up on this Jada Pinkett Smith. I gotta thank her because I did need something to lean into while I'm recovering, and this makes it a lot easier. So thanks, guys, for watching. I'm gonna keep you updated. There's apparently a big interview dropping tomorrow night, and her book drops. We'll see if we get some good tidbits from that. But I couldn't resist on this one, guys. I couldn't resist because Jada's now, not only has she totally emasculated Will, we went over that in the last video, now saying they were never together for 6 months, 6 years. Now she's throwing Chris Rock under the bus, throwing a bunch of new details that I'm just not buying, and I'm curious where you guys stand. She's saying Chris Rock approached her after the slap and said, "I didn't mean you any harm." And now she's also throwing it out there that Chris Rock apparently tried to date her a few years back. Oof. Let's get into this, shall we? All right. So they asked her, "Have you talked to Chris since?" "No, I haven't talked to Chris." "Do I have a desire to talk to Chris?" "Here's my desire. I just hope that all the misunderstanding around this can be cleared up and that there can be peace." Yeah, you want it to be your understanding, nobody else's. Jade only has one way of thinking, hers. Was she offended by Rock's joke? I mean, of course she was. I mean, that's what comedians do. Jada said. I would just have to say that I'm not really here to make any judgment on how people decide to express themselves and express their art. I'll say that several times I've had my feelings hurt, for sure. I've had my feelings hurt a lot by Chris. But at the end of the day, too, being in the spotlight, it comes with the territory. So this is an interesting takeaway. She's acknowledging, yes, of course I have my feelings hurt. But she's also acknowledging the criticism she's faced, which is, girl, man up. You're in Hollywood. You're a celebrity. Jokes can affect everybody, and you are not an exception. You should not be kept from jokes. And she's got to acknowledge that, but she's also clearly trying to put out there, of course, Chris has offended me. My feelings have been hurt a lot by Chris. So that's the most important takeaway, the most honest takeaway there. While Chris and Jada have not spoken since that 2022 Oscars, Jada did reveal for the first time that Rock went off stage and went up to her immediately after the slap. "Chris came to me at the end of the stage and tried to apologize to me. He said, 'I didn't mean you any harm.' I said, 'I can't talk about this now, Chris. This is some old S. I thought this was about the Oscars 2016 and their stuff, and they had been that had come even before I came into the picture in the late 80s. I've got to leave that to Will and Chris to talk about, but they got their stuff for sure.'" Dude, Chris has been a huge fan of Will forever. Jada and Chris made Madagascar movies together. This narrative doesn't make sense, Jada. And you're telling me I'm supposed to believe that you two had this exchange at the Oscars and no one reported it? Because we got reports on everything that went down. There were cameras there, Jada. Everybody was keeping an eye on you, especially after the incident. And Chris left. He walked backstage and left, and then spoke to the LAPD, decided not to press charges. How did we not hear this yet? How did we not? And so, to me, I huge doubt on whether this actually happened. And for her to now say and play like, he tried to apologize. He came and tried to apologize. He said, "I didn't mean you any harm." Well, one, good on him, bigger man than most. Because it would be a nice thing for him to have done. But I don't believe he even did it. So now her response to that is, "I can't talk about this now, Chris. I can't talk about this. You just got slapped on stage and you're telling me he came and told you I meant you no harm. And your response to him was, 'I can't talk about this, Chris. You two got beef.'" Like, this woman is delusional. And she's sitting there like she's some queen. Everything's right. This woman is trouble, man. For Jada, the 2016 thing that we've talked about, that backstory, but just to remind you all, she was protesting in 2016 because the Academy Awards was Oscars so white controversy. Also, Will didn't get nominated for Concussion, in which the awards failed to nominate a single person of color, including her husband. Rock was the host that year and made a Jada protest joke in his monologue, which was a pretty funny joke. And Jada said he might have been offended by her comments against the ceremony. There might have been some misunderstanding between Chris and I as far as the 2016 Oscars. I think that he might have taken offense, which I meant no harm in offending. That wasn't my intention, but I do think there was a big misunderstanding here. I probably should have called him and gone, "Are you okay?" And just know that I'm speaking out about the Oscars. I do wish you the best, and I just want you to know that. Noting she should have taken the time to touch base with him since she was hosting, his feelings might have been hurt. The two did speak in 2016. After 2016, he apologized, and I apologized to him as well. So I actually thought we were good. The hatchet was buried, and we hadn't talked since 2022. Jada also revealed that Rock reached out once to ask her to go on a date while the rumors were circulating about her possible divorce. So again, this would have been after 2016. So now she's putting it out there. Not only did Chris try to apologize on the day of the Oscars, but apparently after the beef and before the Oscars, Rock reached out. I think every summer all the reports would come out that me and Chris were getting divorced. At this particular summer, Chris, he thought we were getting divorced, so he called me and basically he was like, "I'd love to take you out." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Well, aren't you and Will getting a divorce?" I was like, "No, Chris, those are just rumors." He was appalled, and he profusely apologized, and that was that. Jada and Will are not divorced, but she did recently reveal that they have been secretly separated for the last 7 years. 6 of those years predated the Oscar slap, which Jada originally thought was a skit in the moment. So make this make sense, people. Make this make sense. So apparently, that whole incident at the Oscars, that everybody was all over, cameras were all over. You couldn't get away with new angles and new people, and Denzel consoling Will, Tyler Perry consoling Will, Bradley Cooper consoling Will. But now we're supposed to believe that Chris Rock approached Jada and this never got out in all this time since. Jada's now revealing they had a talk. And now you're telling me that after that they apologized, or before that and after the Oscar So White moment, they not only apologized and buried their hatchet, Chris Rock tried to date you? Come on, girl. How dumb do you think we are? I don't buy this for a second. And maybe he called as a friend. Maybe he called as a friend, like, "Hey, I'll take you out and see what's going on." Maybe that's what that was. Maybe he was appalled because Jada assumed it was a date when Chris was like, "Dude, I was just calling as a friend because I thought maybe you guys were troubling and I wanted to take you out and see how things are going." There's so much here to unpack, and the way you listen to Jada in these interviews. And now we learned, and Hoda Kotb, to her credit, called her out. How are we supposed to believe anything you say, Jada? You're a straight shooter. You tell us like it is, but you held all of this from us. You're a liar. She's now a proven liar who airs out her dirty laundry for clicks and for book sales. And so this is trouble, Jada. This doesn't look good. And I don't buy this. I don't believe this. And I can't imagine Chris Rock's not going to be annoyed reading this. And for me, what way could Jada's so particular, manipulative. What's a way for Jada to get her vendetta at Chris and all that he did with that successful Netflix special where he demolished them? Let's keep it real. What could she do? Exactly this. Chris apologized to me. Chris tried to date me. She's putting all these rumors out there like daggers to him. Like, because I'm sure Chris is, this is my opinion, my conspiracy theory, my whatever. I believe Chris is going to read this and be furious that she's trying to put out this narrative that Chris wanted her and that Chris was apologizing to her. Like, because this goes against the whole thing and it makes him look like the big, B word. Which Chris Rock called Will, remember? Which Will is. Let's be real. But who's the bigger B? Chris or Will? I think it's Jada. Personally, I think it's Jada. But what do you guys think? Do you think this was a calculated move on Jada's part to get at Chris Rock in response? Chris did that special in Baltimore. That's where Jada lives. That was a boom, a hit like no other that Chris took out on them. So I don't believe for a second Chris was trying to date her right before the Oscars. What do you think? Do you think Damage Control? What do you think? Thank you guys so much for supporting. We got so much more coming in. Lots has been coming out. So happy for the news cycle has been at least giving us some topics. And please need your support now to keep the algorithm going, given all the troubles with the channel, with me being out of commission. So thank you to everybody who's been watching and supporting. My eyes are recovering. Hope to be back in studio in the coming weeks. But we will keep you reporting the best we can because, like I said, the show must go on. Keep going, everybody. Thank you for all the support. Stay tuned and let us know your comments down below. Appreciate you all, and we'll be back with more soon. Yeah, I think it's Thursday. So yeah, we'll be live. I'll see you guys in a bit.